Thank you to radio_schizo for this video idea. If you have a video idea of your own, leave it down in the comments and it may just become a video. What can be said about root beer? This foamy drink is a staple of American culture, enjoyed by millions of Americans each year in many different ways. People enjoy it on its own, with ice cream as a root beer float, or as a video game? Huh, weird. Anyways, root beer has a long history, and its origins can be traced back to pre-Columbian times, where Native American tribes often made medicinal drinks utilizing different roots such as sassafras, wintergreen, and sarsaparilla. Eventually, with the arrival of the Europeans to the Americas and a little cultural exchange later, the Europeans really took a liking to these medicinal drinks, and would go on to modify them with their own cultural brewing methods. As times changed, so did root beer, and the drink slowly moved away from its medicinal origins. Sugar was added, carbonated water started being used, and root beer slowly transformed into the drink that we know today. As time went on, root beer grew and grew in popularity, and thanks to brands such as Hires Root Beer, Barq's, and A&W, who through innovation made root beer the staple drink that it is today. I really wasn't familiar with root beer until I moved to the United States at a tender young age, and to this day it is not something that I drink very often. It's not that I hate root beer, in fact it's quite the opposite. I think that it is a fine tasting drink that has its place in the soda world. The rest of my family, however, absolutely loathe root beer. Their biggest gripe against it is that they say it tastes like medicine, which, given the drink's history, is not an entirely unfounded claim. With all of that being said, today I'm taking on a challenge imposed by a viewer. I will go out and buy every single root beer I can find. I will bring them home with me, mix them, and then we'll hopefully create the ultimate. But first, some ground rules. Rule number 1. The drinks I choose must be root beer. The brand and the flavor don't really matter, as long as they're root beer. That means that drinks like sarsaparilla will not be included in the mix. Rule number 2. If possible, I will avoid buying root beers in a pack. This is mainly due to personal preference. As I've said before, I'm not much of a root beer guy, so I don't want any more root beer other than the one I need. With all of that being said, let's get started. My journey began where they always seem to begin, at the ever humble Dollar Tree. Here, I found the first of the root beers I would need for my mix. Next up, I went to my favorite gas station, and lo and behold, they also had root beer there, although there was not as much variety as I was expecting. I then made my way to a nearby 7-Eleven, however, I wasn't able to find much there. Unfortunately, my luck really didn't improve after this. I went to all these different stores and they would either have a brand of root beer that I had bought already, or a brand that I didn't have, but they would only have a giant 24-pack or something. I just can't find anything around here. Either they don't have any or it's just the same brands over and over. Man, this is more difficult than I thought. I was so desperate to find anything that I ended up breaking my second rule, and I ended up buying this 4-pack from Aldi. And just when I had given up hope, I found it. Bethmo. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this store practically saved this video. They had lots of variety in terms of different types of root beers. They had familiar brands as well as brands I'd never heard of before. Needless to say, in this store I found everything that I needed in order to make this mix. And now that I had all the root beers I could possibly need, I could finally go home and start mixing. I now had over 10 different root beers in my possession, and given the occasion I couldn't just use the regular glass I always use. No. Instead, I went out and got something more theme appropriate. As you can probably tell, I was barely able to fit all of those root beers in that glass. That being said, how did the mix taste overall? If I'm being completely honest, it tasted kind of weird. The mix tasted like the agglomeration of root beers that I was expecting. However, it also had a strong butterscotch flavor. And the main reason for that is this root beer right here. Dang, butterscotch root beer really stood out despite just being one of many root beers in the mix. And I wouldn't say that this ruined the mix necessarily, as the more I drank it, the more I grew to like it. However, it did sort of throw off the flavor that I was expecting from this mix. Overall, I'd give this mix a 6 out of 10. If you really like root beer, you might want to give this mix a try. Although you may want to hold the butterscotch root beer if that's not really your thing. Now, if you don't like root beer, you probably shouldn't give this mix a try, because if the thought of drinking one root beer makes you gag, drinking a bunch of them combined probably isn't going to change your mind. But if you're feeling adventurous, try it out for yourself. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos just like this one. If you have any suggestions, make sure to leave it in the comments down below. I always enjoy reading your comments. I would also like to apologize for the lack of recent uploads. I first went on a trip, and then after return from the trip I got sick and I couldn't really work on videos. But now I'll hopefully be able to get back on track and upload more frequently. I appreciate your patience. With all of that being said, I'll see you next time.